Welcome to Vintage Coin Op Restorations and our latest project. If you've been following us on Facebook or our website, you've known that we have done several of Chicago Coins goalie hockey machines. But I get a lot of phone calls about it because this machine can drive you crazy. So I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek of what's going on inside this machine. We just finished restoring this one, and I'm going to get some light up here for you. And what we have here is, they call it the shuffle table. And basically what it's doing is, it's our timer that allows us to start the game. And it also has our 1 and 2 player option. And that's what you'll see in the back there. The left is for is your start and single player, and right. And that right switch there will be pushed in by the plunger of the coin mechanism, and that will make it set for 2 players. When you get these machines, you really have no idea of exactly what anything is or what it does. So I did put some info up here. Like up on top there, it says your game over, and then call it 2 can play. That's your second player option. Your reset contacts. Because over time, all these machines have to be serviced. Hopefully this one won't have to be for a while, but time to time, these machines always make you look like a fool. And anyone who's restored one will know that you could deliver it to your client's house and it's not going to work. But the good thing is that there's really nothing ever broken or wrong with them. It's just these machines just don't like to travel that much. But once they're in their homes, they usually do fine. All right, so what are we looking at here? This is I guess the brain of the machine. It's your ball lift motor. Let me put my flashlight down. There we go. What you have here is a motor that carries the ball. You'll see right inside that little hole, and it brings the ball from this tray here and it puts it on the play field. And why I'm even talking about this is because it's kind of neat what they did here for a nickel. This mechanism, if it's a single player, allows the ball just to come out one way because you're playing against the machine and the machine's giving you the balls. When you're playing with 2 people, we have to be equal. So one ball will go to the left and one ball goes to the right. Well, how do they do that? And you'll see this little coil here. As you push down this coil, there's a little lever on my right here. And what it does is it blocks one of the holes, allowing the ball to go to the furthest one. Let's say that will be to the left. So it's a pretty neat mechanism to see work. And let's look at these motors here. These motors are dual motors. You have one that will turn it left and one that turns right. And all that is controlled from underneath the play field, where you have your hand controls. Very primitive, but at the same time it works. Spring loaded on the left, spring loaded on the right, and as you come back and forth on them, they make contact. And as we go down to the center there's our start switch. I'm sorry, that's not your start switch. That switch is only there to make it play for 2 people. And when you hit this switch over here, down over here, it'll break that contact and pop that out. So let's see what we have inside. And I'll go down in here. When possible, we like to make all our coin boxes, but this one is an original. So we do have a mechanism that coin mech up on top here for a nickel that works correctly. And we have a very nice coin box for it, like I said. And here is where it's all happening. So I made a little extra room on this cord here. We do replace any wiring that we have to. and make sure everything else is very secure. When I first started doing this, I was always, very nervous about yanking on the wires and just kind of see what's loose. But now I yank on them. If the wire is not strong enough for me to yank on it, it's probably a bad joint. So we go ahead and we pull on all these things, make sure the contacts are all good. And as I would pull one of these out here for you, if you look really close, they're all brass. And over time, they all got corroded. So each one of those have to be detailed inside so that the contact that you see here is just as clean. You could do a whole machine and do clean everything out, and if you didn't clean those contacts, you're going to have issues. Maybe 5 out of the 10 might work, but to do this, you need to do from top to bottom. Everything has to be looked at, and even then, you still have problems sometimes. But like I said, a lot of these things are marked, so I will kind of explain what we have here. Far in the back stepper unit. Let's see if I can reach my hand in there. No, I can't. Far in the back there are your 2 scoring mechanisms. The one in the furthest rear is your right stepper unit. So as the right person scores, that gets triggered, and you'll see if I can reach around. You can see the little sweeper sweep up, and when the game is over, up on top here, when it impulses, it resets it. And the next one to it is your left person scoring unit. Now, the third one, now this one is your ball count. As the balls go through the top, through this little lifting motor, you'll see the switch here. That switch was the problem with this game. It took me forever to figure it out, but that was a problem that I had today. And every time a ball passes, because the ball's right in a little carriage here, you can see the carriage, and when the ball comes here, it makes contact. And in turn, every time a ball comes there and makes contact, it will energize this coil and give us, I'm sorry, this is the one. Every time it gets energized, it starts counting the balls. So this game has been set for 15 balls for 5 cents. The next one over here is going to be your coin mechanism, and that is going to be for nickel. I mean, this could be set up that with different coin mechanisms for 10 cents, for 5 cents. You push it twice, you'll get 1 play 2 times. But over time, to keep it simple, you press it, push your nickel in once. You have the option to play by yourself against the machine. If you press that center button, that will allow us to play 2 people. That is how most of these games have all been set up, and they play the best that way. Now, what are all these coils? Well, we can start off with the first one here. This first coil here is going to be your first single player, so it alternates back and forth, and that alternates for left and right on a single player. The next one, I believe, is your coin mechanism. The third one here is a ball count. Back up here we have our left and right scoring units. And everybody wonders, what are these 2 pins, or can I change the pins? Well, we have it here. The game is able to play, I believe it's 9, 15, and maybe 19 balls for hockey here. But the glass that's on this machine says 15. And I've never seen another glass that said any other number, but if you want to, give the player a longer time, you can switch it over to this next one, which will be, a few more balls in the game. So, but otherwise, It's can be very time consuming to figure all this stuff out. So hopefully that, you know, someone else restoring it will watch this video and kind of get a better idea exactly what is, you know, going on these things. I do apologize that I can't take all the phone calls and answer all the questions you guys have, but hopefully this can help you out a little bit. So let's slide this. Well, you know what, we'll keep it out, because what I want to do is actually start her up and take a look at this thing. Well, you know what, let's take a walking around the back too. I do get a lot of calls, people like, well, how many light bulbs are in the back there? Well, what you have here are the original porcelain fixtures, and we have some 40-watt light bulbs. You don't want to go anything more than that. In fact, maybe LEDs might even be better. Also, on the bottom there's usually nothing, but we put some vintage grilling in there to keep bugs and stuff from crawling around inside this thing. So as you can see, it's in absolutely beautiful shape now. On top here is our mirror, and everybody's wondering about, you know, the mirror here. It is on a hinge for a reason. So when someone's servicing the machine, they can, by just pushing this whole mechanism up. There's a little cantilever hole for the top of the play field, and there's also one for the actual play field of the game. And I left a little piece of felt there, so make sure that thing grabs on and doesn't guillotine me while I'm working on this. So let's pretend that we are putting our money in, and if you can see here, it's not going to do anything because I don't have a nickel in there. So let's put a nickel in. And here we go. Now, as you saw, my action pushed in both of these coils. And now, as a first time you push it in there, we are set up for one player to play against the machine. Though on the playfield here, our men are not on, you can see that the spindle is going left to right. Okay? And my left control here is dead in the water. But my right control that we have up on top here, I could control, because I'd be playing against the machine. And here's this mechanism, which is kind of neat. Right now, we don't have any balls in the machine, but as you see, you can see the little carriage. The balls would be brought up, and they would be forced out. They'd be forced out of that first hole there by that little spring mechanism. Okay? So that's what happens, and it's how the balls get up there for the first person. And every time the ball comes through, that little brass contact would be pushed forward, and it would also give the ball a count. But we haven't started the first ball yet, because you have to decide whether or not you want to play with one or two players. So we're going to play two players now. So let's see what happens. When I push this in, you'll see that switch pop out. There we go. Now, both motors have completely stopped. Okay? Now it's set for individual left and right side. As I bring this to one way, our motor is going to move the mannequin left or right. Same thing with the one to the other one. Now, this is the kind of neat part. Now, pretend that there's a ball in there and it's being brought up, and as I press my finger here, you see how it holds back. It holds back the little lever until the next ball comes through, forcing the little pinball to go to the second hole, allowing the left person to get a ball, the right person to get a ball. Left, right, left, right. It is pretty amazing what they did for a nickel. And it's set up on a timer, so you still have power on this machine, but